Okay, guys, I'm gonna start
Okay,
in
guys,
2 minutes. Can I just get a thumbs up from everyone if everyone can hear me?
if everyone can hear me?
Okay, and then can everyone
Okay,
see
and
my
then can
screen?
everyone see my
Someone just
screen? Can someone
give me a
just
thumbs up if
give
it's
me a
right.
thumbs up if it's right?
Okay, it's 8. I think I'm
Okay,
gonna
it's
start
8. I
now.
think I'm
If
gonna start
anyone
now.
joins
If
later,
anyone
they'll just
joins
have to
later,
catch up
they'll
to
just
the
have to catch
recording,
up
right?
on the
Because we have
recording, right?
quite a
Because we
bit
have
to get through and
quite
I
a
want
bit
to
to
finish
get
in the
through and I
hour.
want to finish in the hour.
So we're gonna start with
So we're
today
gonna
we're doing
start
paper
with today
3.
we're doing
We're
paper
gonna go
3.
through
We're
the
gonna go
essays.
through the
I'm gonna
essays.
explain to you guys
I'm
in
gonna
detail
explain to you
how to
guys in
answer each
detail how to
essay.
answer each essay.
And then I have
And then
formats
I have
on everything as
formats
well.
on everything
So
as well.
all the
So
transactionals
all
that
the
could come out.
transactionals that could come out.
Let me just see the stop
Let me
people
just see the
joining.
stop people joining.
Okay, so when it comes to the
Okay, so
essay,
when it comes to
obviously
the
everyone
essay,
already
obviously
knows you need to
everyone
have the
already knows you
basics.
need to have the
You need to
basics.
start off with
You
your
need to start off with
introduction.
your
Typically
introduction.
aim for about
Typically aim
4
for
to
about
5
4
lines.
to 5 lines.
Then body paragraphs,
Then
I
body
usually recommend
paragraphs,
that
I
you write
usually
3 to
recommend
4.
that you write 3 to
And
4,
then conclusion,
and
obviously
then
about 3
conclusion
lines,
obviously
right?
about 3 lines,
That's
right?
straightforward. You guys have
That's
been doing that
straightforward.
for
You guys have
years.
been doing
Everyone
that for
knows that by
years.
now.
Everyone knows that by now.
Then basically the
Then
main essay that I
basically the main
recommend
essay
everyone
that I
do
recommend everyone
is the
do
narrative
is
essay,
the
right?
narrative essay, right?
So I wrote
So
essays
I
for
wrote
each person in
essays
this
for
class
each
already.
person
You
in
all
this
should
class
have your
already. You all
essays. I
should
hope
have
you
your
guys started
essays. I
going
hope you
over
guys
them.
started going over
At
them.
the end of the class,
At
I'm
the
going
end
to
of the
explain
class, I'm
how
going to
you can
explain
manipulate
how you
that
can
essay
manipulate that
into
essay
any topic from
into
the
any
papers,
topic
right?
from the papers, right?
I'm going to go over some
I'm going to go
details
over
for
some
writing
details
essays
for
just in
writing
case
essays,
people
just in
decide to write
case
their
people
own
decide
essay
to
in
write
the
their own
paper if
essay
it
in the
just so
paper if it
happens that you can't
just so happens
manipulate
that
your
you can't
topic by
manipulate your
chance.
topic by chance.
So with the
So
narrative
with the
essay,
narrative
it's most
essay,
often
it's
fiction,
most
right?
often
But you
fiction,
need to
right?
be
But you need to
careful that
be
you still make it
careful that you still
convincing.
make it
So
convincing.
like you can
So,
see on the
like you can see
slideshow
on
for
the
today's class, the
slideshow, for
slideshow is
today's class, the
everything you need
slideshow
to
is
know. I'm
everything you
going to
need to
send it
know.
out
I'm
after the
going to send
class
it
so you
out
guys
after
can
the
go
class so
over
you
it.
guys can go over it.
You need to
You need
identify
to
your main
identify your
character from the
main
start,
character
right? That
from the
needs to
start,
be
right? That needs to
evident
be
right from the first
evident right
paragraph
from
when
the
you're doing a
first
narrative
paragraph when you're
essay.
doing a narrative
A
essay.
narrative essay
A
is a
narrative essay
story.
is a
So some of you
story.
in the
So
class
some of
obviously
you in the
got the
class
story
obviously
one, and
got the
then
story
some of
one,
you
and
others
then
that wrote
some of
about
you others that wrote
careers. There
about
was a range of
careers. There was
topics,
a
but there
range
was
of
quite a few
topics,
that I
but there
gave
was
a
quite a few
narrative
that I
essay
gave
to,
a
right?
narrative essay to, right?
So this is more for
So
you
this
guys.
is more for you
You need
guys.
to focus
You need
on
to focus on
identifying your main character
identifying your
right at
main
the
character
start, right?
right
That
at the
needs to be
start, right? That
evident.
needs to be evident.
Often narratives, people
Often
write it
narratives, people
in
write it
the
in
first person.
the first
You
person.
can write it in the third
You can
person
write
as
it in
well
the
if
third
you're writing
person as
about
well
the
if you're
character.
writing about the character.
Make sure it's written in the
Make sure
past
it's
tense.
written in
That's
the
a key
past tense.
detail.
That's
They
a key
mark you down
detail.
if
They
it's not
mark you
because
down if
it's
it's
not a
not
narrative
because it's
essay,
not a narrative
obviously.
essay, obviously.
And a narrative essay often has
And
a
a narrative
twist
essay
or
often
something
has a twist
unexpected
or
that
something
happens towards the
unexpected that
end.
happens towards
So
the
how
end.
I recommend
So
people
how
write
I
narrative
recommend people
essays to
write
make it
narrative essays
engaging
to
and
make
keep
it
the
engaging and keep
reader
the
interested is
reader
start
interested
off with
is
your
start
climax.
off with your
So in your
climax.
first
So
paragraph,
in your first
have
paragraph,
a
have a
captivating detail, right? Make it
captivating
like,
detail,
obviously,
right?
this is
Make it
like the
like, obviously
climax
this is
scene.
like
This
the
is where it's
climax
leading
scene.
to.
This is where it's
Then
leading
in your
to.
next paragraph,
Then in your
switch
next
back to the
paragraph,
start of the
switch back to
story.
the start of the
And
story.
then in your final
And then
paragraph,
in your
reveal a
final
twist
paragraph, reveal a
that
twist that
instead of the climax going
instead
where
of
you
the
expected
climax
it to
going
go
where
in
you
the first
expected it to
paragraph,
go
it's
in the first
completely
paragraph, it's
different. And the real
completely
story
different. And
behind
the
it is
real
something a
story
lot
behind it is
deeper.
something a lot deeper.
Then for descriptive
Then for
essays, this is
descriptive
not one that I
essays, this is
recommend
not one
people
that I
write,
recommend
but just
people
in
write,
case some
but
of you
just in
decide to
case
go
some
with
of you
it.
decide to go with it.
Someone unmuted.
Someone muted.
Sorry, guys. Okay.
Sorry, guys. Okay.
Um,
Um,
Descriptive essay, right? I don't
Descriptive
recommend
essay, right?
people
I
write
don't
a
recommend
descriptive
people write
essay,
a
but
descriptive
if you
essay,
do
but
decide to
if
go
you
with it,
do
what you're
decide
going
to
to
go
do
with
is
it,
you're
what
going to
you're going to
introduce
do
your
is you're going to
topic. You'll
introduce your
usually have to
topic. You
describe a
usually have to
specific
describe a
moment
specific
or
moment
a specific
or a
event that takes
specific
place,
event
something
that
along
takes
that
place,
lines,
something
right?
along that lines, right?
When you do this, make
When you
sure
do
one
this, make
paragraph you
sure
speak
one
about the things
paragraph
you
you speak
see,
about the things you
another paragraph
see,
you talk
another
about the
paragraph you
things you
talk
smell,
about the things you
another
smell,
paragraph you talk about the
another
things you
paragraph you talk
taste,
about the
and
things
then
you
sound, and
taste,
then
and then
touch.
sound, and then touch.
You need to make sure you use
You
all
need to
five
make sure you use
senses,
all
make one
five
paragraph for
senses,
each
make one
sense.
paragraph for each
Typically, they
sense.
don't mark
Typically,
this
they
one
don't
really high,
mark this
so
one
you guys
really
are the A
high,
plus, if you're aiming for, I'd assume everyone here wants an 85 plus, don't write descriptive essay, you're not going to get the marks. Unless you write a really, really good one. But I'd recommend sticking to narrative or reflective. With the reflective essay, right? So in a reflective essay, the writer contemplates an idea and gives his or her emotional reactions and feelings. The writer could, for example, reflect on dreams or aspirations. So for those of you that had a topic on, I think I wrote for quite a few people on the careers, the two different careers that you switch between. you guys need to know that obviously you guys are writing reflective, right? So yours speaks a lot about your emotions, how you feel. Use lots of emotive words. A reflective essay is personal and subjective, so nobody else is obviously going to have a similar reflective essay to yours. So for the guys who got the career one, right, there was quite a few of you that I sent that one out to, but nobody's is the same because everybody obviously has different careers, right? So then feelings and emotions play a major role. You guys will see in the essay that I wrote you guys, there's lots of emotive words, deep language, stuff like that. So I think the reflective essay is a good one to score your marks in. You guys will see, for those of you that got that one, it's a good one. And then the narrative, obviously. So stick to those two. Discursive and argumentative essays, I don't recommend writing. It's so easy to mess up in a discursive or an argumentative. You need to know facts. And along with that, there's not much creativity that's displayed. So they typically don't mark it really high in terms of the creative aspect. So if you want that 85, that 90, write a reflective or write a narrative. Even if you guys don't go with the ones that I gave you, but I still think those ones are basically banking you 85, right? They guarantee they will mark by multiple teachers already. So stick with those if you can learn them. If you really struggle to manipulate it in the paper, then you guys need to know that either write a reflective on your own or write a narrative on your own. For those of you that are writing your own essays and are going for those really high marks, right? There's some tips for positive marking. So typically, you need to have in each paragraph of your essay, try to have one or two examples of figurative language. So have one, maybe a metaphor, maybe have one idiom. Have something that displays your ability to obviously use English as a language, right? Then another thing is use 3 higher level words per paragraph at least, right? If you can write 5 or 6, that's all the better. But aim for, obviously, I'll send out a list of words that you guys can use that are synonyms for like happy and stuff, that are more higher level words that you can use. Aim to use 3 of those per paragraph. Then this one here is one that I only found out about this year actually, but you get positive marks for using quotes. So, for example, let's say with Othello, right? One of the famous quotes is Iago's "I am what I am." If you write a paragraph where you, for example, turn out to be the bad guy at the end of the story, right? You could end it off as William Shakespeare says in Othello, Iago's main character states, "I am what I am." That proves that you're using your set work from the year, and teachers actually mark positively for that. So that's one tip that you could use to push if you want that 90%. I think that's how you push into that 90, 95 categories, identifying techniques like that. So use quotes, not just from there, you can even use quotes from your poetry. Like pull out a quote from Fernhill. There's so many. Plus, all of it's so figurative and there's not literal meaning to it, so you can manipulate it into any way you want. So try and learn a few quotes if you can, if you plan on writing your own essay. And then you can even quote like famous words, like quote words of Shakespeare, quote words of Mandela, for example, if you're writing an essay about war or something, for example. So stuff like that is how you score the marks. Figurative language, go over your idioms, go over your metaphors, go over similes. Similes are so simple to write. Like it was as red as blood. It's so simple, yet you get positive marks for that. And just a tip with figurative language, right? Even if you can't think of a metaphor or something that you learned, think of something you could say, like that you see in your everyday life. It was as dry as a loaf of bread, for example, whatever you want to write, right? Come up with something that it has to make sense to you. It's figurative language. It's how you as the writer are describing something. You don't need to have something set from a book or from a textbook. That's what paper 3 is all about. And I think paper 3 is the easiest one to score marks in. All you need to know is your essay. If you're going to go with the essay that I wrote for you, obviously all you need to do is sit there and learn it, and then I'll explain to you how to manipulate it into the topics. If you do want to write your own ones, it's also, like I said, just follow these steps if you want that really high. This is specifically for the A class. The other slideshows for the other classes don't even have this one. Positive marking, but yeah, you guys need to aim for this. Let's just see if there's anyone that needs to join. Okay, everyone's in. So now we're going to go on to the transactional. So we're going to start with the formal and informal letter, right? So for this year, almost every year, there's a 90% chance you're going to get a letter, right? You guys know one of the topics is going to be a letter for the transactional. So if you can sit there and nail the letter formats, right, you know that's one done. It's one that you don't need to worry about. So I'm going to go over the informal letter. Typically, this is not one that you're going to see, right? They're going to go more with the formal so that they can obviously do the letter to the press or the letter to the editor. You don't know which one you'll get, but it's most likely going to be one of the formal. But we'll go over the informal in case. So for the transactionals, everything I have is how I laid it out is there's tips on the left-hand side of the page and then the format that you need to learn. So I'm going to send this slideshow out to you guys after the class. You just sit there, go over the slide, like go over each slide, see what the formats are. It will take you like maybe 15 to 20 minutes to learn everything. It's very straightforward. So with the informal letter, you must include only your address in the date. So that's obviously a difference from the formal letter and the informal. In the informal, it's only yours. Think of it as in for informal, so it's only where I live, because I live in my house. Then the salutation can be formal or informal, depending on your relationship. That one there, they're not going to write you down, right? You're not going to get marked down for that, even if you write it as hi, Eddie, for example, was one of the examples here. So that one there, they're not going to really mark you down no matter how you greet. That's up to you. Just make sure you're skipping a line after your date, before the salutation, and then after the salutation, right? Your letter must have an introduction, body, and conclusion as different paragraphs. That's straightforward. You guys know that by now already, not something I'm going to go over, but your introduction basically just states your topic, what you're talking about in your letter. Body gives more detail about it. Maybe, for example, if you're talking about a holiday, you speak about 2 of the places that you visited in the paragraphs. Then your ending, closing should be informal, right? So, your grandson, yours sincerely, your favorite niece, loved it. However you end off, make it sound creative, right? Obviously. And then the next line, just go with your name, and then that's done, right? So straightforward. I don't think you'll get an informal letter, but just in case it comes out, that's the format for that. Now we're going to go to the formal letters. There's 3 of them that's typically going to come out in a final paper. You're either going to get a letter of complaint, a letter to the press, or you're going to get a letter of application. So with letter of complaint, right, there's some common opening sentences in your very first one that you need to know. Obviously, guys, for the format of formal, you need to know that it's both addresses. Like I told you, informal, in, you live in your house, it's one only, formal has two. Yours is always on the right-hand side. Just remember, you always write, so yours is on the right-hand side. And then the other one is always on the left, right? Don't forget to skip a line between the two. Here, your greeting will always be dear sir/madam, right? Don't overcomplicate it. Don't try and get names. It's dear sir/madam, and then you go. If they tell you in your instructions that you're writing to a man, obviously it's dear sir, apologies. Otherwise, it's dear madam if they tell you it's a lady. If they don't state it, you write it as dear sir/madam. Then you skip a line, and then you can have a subject line where you speak about what's happening. So, for example, this one here was complaining about an appliance that you bought from the store. So you'll say faulty appliance, all in capitals, right? Then you'll skip another line, and these are some of the opening sentences that you could use. I am particularly unhappy about. I am sorry to have to inform you about. Sadly, the product that I purchased recently from you, I'm writing to complain about. If you want to play it safe, always just go, I'm writing to complain about, and then state what the complaint is, reword your instruction that they give you, right? For this year, they're not so much marking creativity when it comes to the transactions. They're just marking more whether you can follow the format and whether you can show that you know what you're talking about. Explain your complaint about the item in detail, arrange your information logically, right? So obviously don't speak about, for example, if something's missing from the box, right, of the product. Don't first say the product wasn't working before you say you opened the box and found something missing. First state that something was missing and then state that the product wasn't working. So it's common sense and stuff like that. And then always end off with saying what you want them to do. So for example, in this case here, I'm talking about the faulty product. Obviously, I would realistically want a refund. I want to exchange my product or something along that note. So I want them to come out and fix my product. So I think that again, there is common sense. It's how you put it together. It's straightforward. Just know the format. That's the key takeaway from the transaction. Just remember the format. Obviously, when you're ending off here, you'll go yours faithfully. Don't forget your signature. So many candidates forget to put the signature there. Certain markers will mark you down, certain won't. But just play it safe. Put the signature there is in the format, and then your name under the signature. No skipping lines between those. Letter to the press. The following aspects of format should be included. Always the address of the sender. You guys know that. Date below. Oh, that's another thing, guys. For date, don't skip a line between the address and the date. And the date always goes under yours. Because remember, you're writing the letter, so the date goes under your address. Your salutation will always be sir/madam. You don't have to put dear in this one here. You're writing to the press, so just sir/madam. That's good, and then keep going. Then subject line. The subject line outlines the main purpose of the letter. It must be written in one line. You can't go across 2 lines. It needs to be short and to the point. So here you can see they're complaining to the editor about water and electricity problems. They just wrote electricity and water, and they underlined it, right? The content, your introduction, introduce yourself and state the purpose of writing the letter. Body, provide details of the topic, and then the conclusion, suggest possible solutions. Now, this is the key difference, guys. Sometimes they'll tell you to write a message to the press, a letter to the press, about you complaining about a specific thing. The difference between letter to the press and letter to the editor is when you suggest something at the end of the letter to the press, don't address it in such a way that you want the editor to solve the problem. Say that, like, for example, here, several requests were made to the municipality to investigate the cause of this destruction, but today they have not responded. Going public with our plight is our last resort. This is a safe way to end it off. You can learn those 3 lines there, and then obviously just fit in what you want. The majority of the time it will be something to do with the municipality. It may be roads, it may be water, it may be electricity, something along those lines. Sometimes it's building, like I know it's a common one that they ask in so many papers is building of a taxi rank. I'm sure you guys have all done that at some point. But yeah. So stuff like that, then the signature, and then the name of the sender at the end, name and surname. Letter of application, this one hasn't come out for a while, so I have a feeling it might be this one. So I just went a bit more in detail with this one. Just go over it. The following aspects of format should be included: the address of the sender, the date is written below the sender, the recipient, the address of the recipient. Right. Salutation, here again, here sir / madam. The subject line, again, the subject line outlines the main purpose of the letter. Again, it must be written in one line. With the content, the introduction, introduce yourself and state the purpose of writing the letter. Now, this is obviously the difference between letter of application and letter to the press and letter to the letter of complaint, right? So here you have to state your name. You have to state who you are and why you're writing and why you feel this. So I would like to apply for the position of whatever it is that they're advertising. Sometimes they might give you an advert in a newspaper, for example, and then you need to apply to that post. So then you'll obviously have to write where you saw it. Sometimes they may tell you that you saw it outside a store, so then you have to say that you saw the post outside a store. Remember to put that stuff. A common one now that they ask, obviously, is with a website, that you found it on a website. So state where you found it. Don't put a link, obviously, to a website, but write that I found it on so-and-so website. Then in the next paragraph, you'll give details of yourself and your qualifications. Then mention why you consider yourself suitable for the post. Then always write the sign here. I am available for an interview at any time convenient to you. Skip a line. I hope my application will be considered favorably. Guys, letter of application is one that you can prepare from home because you can speak about your qualifications. Obviously, you may need to manipulate it slightly. For example, if they tell you about becoming a police officer, right? You can't go speak about how you good with dealing with animals. But now if they ask you about becoming working at a veterinarian center, then you can speak about animals. Your main qualifications, speak about stuff like high school, maybe make up something that you studied. This is one that you can prepare from home and be ready with going into the paper if this one comes out. And I have a feeling we might get this one this way. Now we're going to do the CV and the cover letter. These two always go hand in hand. They're going to ask you both together. This is not one that I recommend answering because it's quite a bit to remember. But again, it is one you could set from home. So if you have the time and you want to be extra prepared, right, go there, make your CV finish, and then learn it. Go into the paper knowing your CV. The following aspects must be outlined. Caption stating the owner of the CV's full surname and name. The rest of the detail must be listed in a consistent and orderly manner. Personal details, formal qualifications, work experience, then the references, guys. That's obviously crucial. So this one here, the reason I say don't go for it is it's a bit difficult to meet your word count. Because what else do you really speak about? Everything's so basic, like you see here in the format. You guys need to, if you're going to go with this option, you need to learn this format. You need to know everything about it. A lot to learn. If you have the time and you want to put in the work and prepare one from home, go ahead and learn it. If you can swap it, I feel that the transactions are easy to write in the paper and go from there based on your topic. The letter is typically nice, the speech is good, the dialogue is good. So I wouldn't really recommend going here, but if you want to put in the time at home and go do the CV, then that's up to you. Now, this one's a good one. This one's always one that I recommend you do because this one you can showcase creativity in a transactional, which with the others is a bit bland. Like, your letter, you can't really show how creative you are with your maybe like even the CV. Obviously, there's no showing your creativity. But a magazine and a newspaper article, you can showcase those creative skills. You can use figurative language in these, and that's how you get those bonus marks. Right? If you really want to get into that 90 category, go with topics like this where you can show creativity while showing that you know the formats. And the nice thing about the magazine and the newspaper article is there's no real confusing format. You just need to know I need a heading with my name, and then I'm gonna write. So people overcomplicate this one and try and write in the column method for a newspaper article. You don't need to do that. There's no positive marking for that. You can write it. You'll see here. Here's an example that I did. It's straightforward, just paragraphs. You don't have to overcomplicate it. The heading must be attractive and interesting, right? So let's go. This is a bonus tips if you want to score those higher marks, right? Include a pun in your heading. Use alliteration in your heading, like stunning school days, for example, was one that I used here. Stuff like that. There's so many you could use. You could come up with a pun, or always, whatever your topic is, go look and think, okay, what can I use alliteration with? And make it short and to the point. Write your heading over 2 lines is usually what I say, and then obviously paragraph by paragraph skipping between. The style should be lively, neutral, or informal. I always recommend you go with lively and upbeat. Make it something opinionated, typically, if you're going with this. Another good thing is, whatever the topic is, see if you can think of any facts of the topic. So when you get a newspaper article or magazine topic, for example, in your paper, go look what it is and say, hey, do I know any general knowledge about this? Is there anything that I can put in that I know? Maybe something that I saw in the news or something that I read that I can include in my article that shows I'm using facts. Right, so obviously not every time that's going to work. Sometimes you'll pick up on a few where you know it, and there's certain facts that you can use. Other times they won't be, but if you can, that's another bonus area. Go for that. The reader must be addressed directly. I think that one's straightforward. It can be descriptive and figurative, appealing to the imagination of readers, right? Guys, be very descriptive when you're writing about it. That's what teachers look for. Go in detail. If you're describing, for example, a fire, use words like scorching, say that firefighters heroically ran into the building, stuff like that. Go into every detail about it. Names, places, times, positions, and any other necessary details should be included in the article. That you'll pick up from your instruction, right? If they'll tell you the specific, maybe you spoke to a specific firefighter, for example, who ran into that burning house, and you obviously have to speak of that. Ideas should be divided into clear paragraphs. Don't jumble stuff up. Don't start a paragraph with something and then go completely different. Guys, a key thing is use the peel method when you're doing your newspaper article or magazine article. So start with your main point, right? And you're going to go explain it. Then for evidence, try and think of, like I said, one fact that you know about the topic. And then obviously linking it, just don't do that. For example, the newspaper article, obviously you're not going to link back to your topic here. You're just going to end it off. So it's point, evidence, explain. Aim for 3 sentences per paragraph, but good solid sentences. The article should stimulate interest and keep the reader absorbed. Obviously, don't drift in your article. Keep the focus central on what they want you to talk about, but make sure each paragraph is discussing something different, so it's not repetitive and you're not dragging on. And make sure none of your points are the same thing in different words. People do that so often. They try and come up with different ways and then they end up wording the exact same thing. So when you're doing your planning for a newspaper article or magazine article, go put, okay, paragraph 1, my main point is this, and then maybe write your fact that you're going to write under that, and then go put that. So don't get jumbled up with your ideas. Agenda and minutes of a meeting. Another one I don't recommend doing. It's very, very a lot to learn. There's so much content. And again, obviously, when you do this one, you need to know that you're doing an agenda and a minutes. They're not going to give you one to do. What I've seen them do in a few, I'll look for the paper. I'll see if I can find it for you guys. But a few years ago, they gave you the agenda, and then you had to make the minutes of the meeting. So that was a bit of an interesting one because obviously you had to stick to the agenda that they gave you. You can't go off course. So when you're writing an agenda, the word agenda must be written at the beginning, right? So you must put it at the top of your page in the middle, agenda. Then the name of the meeting should be next. So for example, if it's a meeting at, let's say there's a meeting at Kellogg's, you have to say agenda and then Kellogg's and then date, time, venue that has to be there. Then agenda items. Always aim when you're writing your agenda items, have opening and welcome, it has to be there. Attendance has to be there. Apologies has to be there, right? Then reading and adoption of minutes in the previous meeting also has to be there. Matters arising. You can speak about the different aspects that are coming up. You'll pick up on that from your instruction. When you write new matters, guys, make sure there's 6.1 and 6.2. Just don't put one new matter there. You need to show that you're capable of showing the different stuff was discussed in the meeting. General, you don't really need to have that one for number 7. You have to have date of the next meeting and you have to have closure, right? So the minutes is basically explaining the agenda more in detail. So obviously, if you're doing the agenda in minutes, right, you can't write an agenda about one thing and then minutes of something completely different. And it has to match up. So you have to go in the same order. So like you'll see here, opening and welcome, that's what they got, right? So do that. Pick up in your agenda, write your agenda items there, and then explain it in detail. So for example, here, the SGB chairperson open the meeting and welcome all members present, right? You have to show the date, place, and time of the meeting. So obviously there at the top you can see the meeting was held on 13 February 2021 in the public library boardroom at 900 hours. Always write it in that order. So you're gonna always write date first, then place, then time. Don't forget the heading. I think that's obviously that's not a mistake that you should be making now in matric. State the names of the people who attended the meeting. Can be added as an annexure or an attendance register, right? So attendance, you can don't write it this way here. The reason I say so is here they say refer to the attached attendance register, right? Rather write it with a few names. Or for example, if you're addressing a full, let's say you're discussing matric jackets, for example, right? Say that the entire class of 12A, 12B, 12C, and 12D were present. Word it that way. And then under apologies, always don't say that everyone was present. Put one apology there to meet your word count. So maybe make up a name and say this person was unavailable, was on leave. You don't. One that you can often say is was unfortunately not present due to illness, stuff like that. Reading and adoption of the previous meeting, all you have to say there is minutes of the previous meeting were read by the person, and then move for adoption of the minutes and it was seconded by. So stuff like that. If you want to score marks in this section, remember to use words like seconded by, because typically everything in a meeting, guys, usually when they have a meeting, you need to have one person who puts something forward and then another person who seconds it, right? So have stuff like that in your minutes. So you can obviously read through this one here, you'll see certain wording and where you can use certain words. Provide a summary of what was proposed and finally agreed upon. That there, I think is straightforward. You'll see that there. Then when you go to number 6, right, new methods. This is the key one for this one here. You need to first obviously state new methods. Then you're going to go 6.1. You'll see here they put decrease in number of learners. Give the heading of what the new problem is as 6.1, right? Then you're going to write a paragraph under that explaining what the problem is. So more in detail. Then 6.2 again, and then you're going to write a paragraph explaining what it is. That's how you're going to meet your word count for the minutes. Everything there is typically from 6.1, 6.2. That's where your key points are. That's where you need to have the bulk of your content. That's basically like the body. Think of it as the body of your letter. This is the body of your minutes. General, like I said, you don't have to include that one if you want to. That's just upcoming fundraising events, but I wouldn't recommend including that. Date of the next meeting, that's straightforward. You guys know how to write that. And then closure, all you have to do is the meeting closed at a certain time. You put your time there. Maybe a meeting would have been 2 hours, 1 hour, something like that. Now, this one is the one that everyone does. It's the easiest one to do, the speech. And the reason it's the easiest one to do is there's no format. But there's lots of tips to score bonus marks. This is a good one. If you're someone who's creative, this is a good topic to go into. This is a topic that you can score 90%. If you're aiming for that 90, that 92, 93, this is the type of topic you need to do. So usually when I have one-on-one classes with people, right, who discuss paper 3 with me, and then I talk to them and I'll tell them that, look, if it's an A learner and they're aiming to get that 90, that 92, that 93, right? Obviously learn your essay. That's step 1. And then number 2, do the letter or the magazine article or the speech. One of those is always going to be there. It has to. So you're going to go there, you're going to do that one immediately because that's where you can show creativity. The letter obviously is because you can show that you're capable of the format. And then choose between magazine article or speech because you can show creativity. You can show how you're capable of using facts and presenting them in a creative, unique way. Guys, I think this class won't go too long. Like I said, it was more about going over the key details of everything. I also want to show you guys how to manipulate the topics, so that's one more thing we have to do. With the speech, the introduction, tell your audience who you are, what you are talking about, and grab their attention. Use a surprise statement, famous quote, or a rhetorical question to grab your audience's attention. Right, let's talk a bit about that. You don't start a speech with, good morning, my name is blah, 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 blah. Don't do all that, right? You want to show creativity, you want to show you're capable of captivating your audience. So the first thing you do, right? Go use an idiom. Maybe say that like, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. How often have we heard this statement? And then you start speaking about whatever your topic is, for example, if your topic fits into that. Then you use a rhetorical statement. Let's say they tell you something about, are taxi drivers a menace to society? You can maybe start off your speech with going, taxi drivers, hero or villains? And then a question mark. That's a rhetorical question, right? It gets you, basically, in your first paragraph, your goal is you don't want to give anything away. about your speech. You just want to give the main topic, and you want to get them thinking about the topic. So when you read your instructional speech, you know you're going to start thinking about what you're going to write, right? In your first paragraph, you want your reader to think the same thing. When they read that, they're going to start thinking of, let's think a bit more about this. Then you're going to go into your body. This is where you present your main points or main arguments. These make up your different paragraphs. Make sure that each paragraph, right, is discussing something different. Don't discuss two things in the same paragraph for speech. Focus on one point per paragraph. Again, that's the key with all these transactionals. It happened in the letter. You see that again here. You saw it in the magazine article. Have a point. Follow Peel. It's point evidence. Explain. That applies everywhere across the board. It's not just for essays. It's for transactionals as well. Then your conclusion, this is where you sum up your key points. So again, you're going to emphasize whatever your point was. And then sometimes if you want the conclusion, a good point is you want to leave your reader still thinking. So maybe use another rhetorical question and then be like, is this truly good for society or bad for society? Or for example, if you discuss the taxi driver once and you came to the conclusion that, yeah, they are bad for society, maybe end off with, so ladies and gentlemen, what is our solution then? Remember, with a speech, address your audience directly. So you'll speak about we, you'll speak about you. You can say, another one we could use is ladies and gentlemen, my fellow learners, stuff along that line, depending on who you're addressing. Let's go over the points to remember. Each of your paragraphs should have a topic sentence, as we already discussed, right? Use varied sentences to express your opinion. Keyword there is opinion, guys. A speech is, a lot of the times, a speech doesn't have to be factual. It doesn't have to be something set that, you know, there's a right side and a wrong side. It's your opinion, it's how you feel about something. You may use personal anecdotes to make your audience relate to you. Tell a short story about yourself or provide short personal details and to breathe some life into your speech. So let's say you're speaking about, let's say the taxi driver one, for example, right? Let's go on the same one. You can speak about how you had an aunt who you were very close with, and then you want to add emotion to your story, right? So say that your aunt met up in an accident and lost her life due to a taxi driver who was trying to run a red light, for example. It's putting personal details like that into your speech that they basically separate the 90s from those that are going to get a 70s. It's having those appealing to the emotional connection with the reader. It's building stuff like that. Figurative language, so key, guys. Don't think, okay, I'm done with my essay, no more figurative language. Everywhere, aim for it. When you write a magazine article, use figurative language. When you're writing a speech, use figurative language. It's crucial, right? You may use a few rhetorical questions in the body of your paragraph, each in a different paragraph, and this will help you to keep your audience attentive. I keep speaking about rhetorical questions, how they maintain the audience's attention, right, and get them thinking. Don't overdo it. Don't have 10 rhetorical questions in one paragraph. If you see that you got more than one rhetorical question per paragraph, you're writing it wrong. Cut one out. Use emotive language. Go back to the descriptive essay to check what was said about emotive language. Like I said, I spoke about it earlier. Speak about sights. Speak about your taste. Speak about what you smell. Mentioning stuff like that. Use figurative language to create powerful images in your audience's mind. When you're saying a speech, you want your audience to almost be watching a movie. When I present speeches, that's how I think about it. I don't want them to see someone standing up there in front of them. You want to paint a picture in their mind. You want everything to be clear. You want them to feel like they were there in that moment. You can also use repetition for emphasis on some of your points. Now, what am I saying with this one? I'm not telling you that you're going to write the same sentence over and over again. I'm going to tell you maybe you write it as, are taxi drivers truly a menace to society? No. Stuff like that. Don't write the same thing over and over. Obviously, that's not what I'm saying. But draw emphasis to certain points on using, you can use repetition. So go over, I'll send you guys maybe some speeches after this class that you can just read over. I'll send some of the speeches that I used over the past few years. And you can just read how they are. And then if I get time, I'm going to try and write one transactional. For, obviously, try not to use these ones because there's a chance someone else in the class might end up using them. So I'll write one speech. I'll maybe write one newspaper article. I'll maybe write one letter, for example, and just send it to you guys just so you can see how I would have written it. I'll take maybe one of, we'll choose a random year paper and then do all the topics on there for the transactionals, right? Dialogue and interview. This one here, another easy one to bank marks in. But if you're going for that 90, that 95, this is not where you're really going to score that, right? If you want the 85, 80, around that zone, you can write dialogue. It's a nice one to play it safe. You just want that A, a basic A. But if you're really pushing for the high end of the A's, and the reason I'm saying A's, guys, is you guys are in any class, everyone here should be aiming for an A, right? So when you're doing a dialogue, obviously, it's very, very straightforward. There's no complications with this one, right? A thing that people sometimes forget is, I don't understand why, because it's in every dialogue, you need to have a scenario. So people are confused in terms of what to do in the scenario. All you're going to do is you're going to take your topic that they give you, and you're going to put it in your own words. You're going to reword it slightly, right? Like you'll see here, Casey and Tembi are talking about the mathematics test that they have just written. So maybe they'll tell you you found a mathematics test. Casey found a mathematics test that she wrote really difficult in class, and as they walked out, she started talking to Tembi about it. So then you would say this here. Okay, that was a bad one because Casey actually found it easy. You'll see here, I think I aced it. Right now, from that very short extract of dialogue, right, you can already see there that they use figurative language, because I think I aced it is a good phrase that you can use, right? It's stuff that you can pick up on. So even though you may think that it's a dialogue, it's just, oh, hello, how are you, my fellow friend, or bland stuff like that, you can inject your own life into it. Look for those figurative languages. So when you're doing a transactional, I want you guys to do this, right? After you write your magazine article, after you write your dialogue, go look. Do I have figurative language in there, or am I just being bland? Because if you are, you're not going to score 90. You're not going to score 92. You're not going to score 93. Go look. Okay, do I have something of figurative language in this paragraph? Oh, no, I don't. Okay, what can I switch out here for figurative language? How can I incorporate that? Use a new line to indicate each new speaker. Use a colon after the name of each character who is speaking. Guys, we've been doing this since grade 7. By now, you should know how to write a dialogue, right? A key thing that you can include is obviously the expressions, so emotions, right? You can write it in brackets. Write it after the colon, rather. That's typically how most markers want it. So you write, for example, you see Casey, and then they put in brackets excited. Aim to have about 3 to 4 of those in your dialogue if you're going with the dialogue. The dialogue should be a free-flowing conversation. So after you write your dialogue, right? Go back and read it and say, okay, does this sound like a conversation I would have in real life? Like, would I be talking to someone like this? Wow, I'm happy for you, but I found it difficult. That sounds like something we would say. But now, at the same time, guys, you need to remember you have to use formal English. You can't go right in formal language there. You would speak to your friend. So make it sound free-flowing. Make it go in a natural way. Don't make it sound like something that's taken out of a book. The writer of the dialogue has to put himself or herself into two imaginary persons so as to make them express their opinions as two different persons in a natural way. It needs to be distinctive. Obviously, both characters can't sound like the same person, right? They need to have, for example, here they spoke about the math test. One found it difficult, one found it easy. Show that differentiation from the start. Another thing is also, there's a solid chance that they'll give you an interview instead of a dialogue, but usually one of the two should be there, either a dialogue or an interview. So if you want to play it safe for the 80, the 85, that's a good one to go to, because you can't really mess the format of the dialogue up so much, right? You just need to remember your scenario, and then you skip a line, and then you're going to go with your basic format. It's name, colon, brackets. So, like I said there, if you can include one or two figurative languages, you're going to get examples, you're going to get your 80%, 85% for a dialogue, right? With an interview, obviously, the only difference is that one person needs to be asking questions, the other person needs to be answering. I don't even think I need to say that, right? And then for the last one, guys, another one is, I don't have it on this slideshow, but the obituary, the reason I don't have it here is there's nothing creative that I can tell you about an obituary. There's no points that you can pick up in an obituary. It's just straightforward. You're going to pick it up from your instruction. You're going to pick up what you need to write. So I'll send out some notes on an obituary, and I'll send out a picture of the format so you guys can learn that. I think that was the main takeaway from this class, is having all the formats so that you guys know what to do for each, obviously, transaction. So learn the formats. Maybe try and pick out, obviously I don't expect you to go learn all 12 formats, right? Maybe try and pick out 7 or 8. Because typically, like I'm saying, there's going to be a letter. There's going to be a dialogue and interview, right? So play it safe and maybe go prepare those ones. Go from home and prepare those ones. Worst case scenario, one that you don't prepare comes out right. You know what to do still. You'll still make it work. But if the one that you do prepare comes out, then hey, that's just a bonus. There's no stress in the paper then about coming up with something. For the email. The form and content of an email is very similar to the writing of formal and informal letters, right? An email can be informal, which is personal, or formal for business. An informal email usually goes to a person you know well, such as a friend or family member. A formal email is typically sent to someone you do not know well or to someone who is in authority. So, for example, your teacher or your tutor, a public figure, or even a company you're doing business with. So let's look at the example of the email here, right? You need to obviously have two in your first line. That's who you're writing to. Remember, at gmail.com, you have to have it as an email address. You can't write a person's name. This is not a letter. This is an email. CC, ignore that, guys. You don't have to have that line there, right? You can, but you don't need to have it there. So just remember to write to the other person's email, and then if you want to put the CC, there's a bit of a bonus. Put it there. There's not going to be any positive markings for it, right? Your subject in capitals and underlined, right? Not all capitals, just the starting letter, and then underlined, right? So for example, this one here was a resignation letter. Then you're going to skip a line, dear sir, or madam, depending on what they give you. Skip another line, and then you'll see here, they wrote it very formally. This is how you do it. Please accept this mail as notice that I'm resigning from my position as hotel manager. As per company policy, I have to give a month's notice before resigning. I hope you will get a good replacement for me within this time period. Remember not to be rude when you're writing this, and it needs to be, this is a formal email, right? You need to use formal language. I don't think they'll give you an informal email because it's a bit too simple. There's not much they can ask you there. Like, they're not testing your English. So expect a formal letter, expect a formal email. Probably something to do with a company, or maybe even something to do with a municipality, something regarding a complaint. So your email could be for different stuff. You could even email someone, like, we do letter of application. They might tell you to email an application to someone. Just remember, it's the same as the letter. The only thing that changes a bit is the format. Instead of writing addresses, you're going to have to, and in your subject line, obviously stays the same. Everything else stays the same. It's almost like doing a letter. Now we're going to go through, obviously everyone had their essays, right? So I'm going to speak about some of the topics that were sent out. For some of you guys, I wrote on the different career choices that you're considering after school. And I'll explain to you why. Basically, with that, you could write on so many different stuff. You could write about something that reflects on you as a whole, on your... I'll show you guys in the paper, right? That was one of them. Then a narrative essay. When they're marking narrative essays, they usually look, obviously a twist is crucial, right? So all of you that got the narrative essay, I made sure there was a twist in it. And usually they want something dark, almost a bit dramatic, right? They want it to be so something with murder, for example, something along those lines. They mark positively for stuff like that. And then obviously, like I said, you need to have the figurative language throughout, and emotive words. You guys will see that the essays I sent out to you, every paragraph has at least 2 examples of figurative language. In everyone's. No matter what, I made sure I went through it afterwards again. And then another thing, guys, if anybody is unhappy with the essay that they got, please message me. I don't mind writing another one for you. Like, I'll fix it up for you guys if you want. Maybe if I get time, I might go back through and write. Like, for those of you that I feel the topic isn't fitting so nice for the narrative essay, I might write you another one just to be safe. But like I said, that's if time permits, because I also have Afrikaans essays to write for people. And paper 3s are coming up close, right? So we'll try and get through that. But let's go through the past 5-year papers. I'm just gonna, obviously I'm not doing the whole paper with you guys, it's unrealistic. We'll look at the essay, I'm gonna speak about the career one, right? Obviously the narrative essay, it's the same way that I'm gonna do the career one. You'll see how you need to manipulate it. If you are unsure how you would manipulate your essay, right, please message me. I don't mind phoning you one-on-one, sitting for 15 minutes and going through a paper with you guys to show you how your topic can fit. But I think quite a few of you guys got the career one, so I'm gonna explain the career one, right? So the career was taken from this paper here, right? The 2022 paper. This was a war to end all wars. So I manipulated it into the conflict in your mind because I thought that one fits best the other one. So obviously, living in a silent world, that one doesn't really work. International sports, but when you've got to this was a war to end all wars, you'd have seen that your topic fit here. You could have even used it for this one here, because a lot of the topic is internal conflict in your mind about which career to choose, right? So here you would have said maybe the child in me wanted to choose one career, but the person I'd become over time and blossomed into wanted to choose the other career. And then that's how you speak about your 2 careers in this case, right? So that's the 2022 paper. With the 20, let's go to the transactionals and see what they asked for this one. Like I said, there's going to be a letter. There's a letter to the press. This one here was a good one. It was about, it's recommended that due to the consequences of high speed crashes, the speed limit, freeways be reduced, right? That was obviously there. You guys need to know the format of letter to the press. Dialogue, like I said, you're going to get that. Magazine article, email. This was a really good paper. There was so much to pick up on here. Book review, I didn't really go over with you guys because I don't think you should be doing that one. It's a difficult one to remember with the format, and you're not going to score high marks. There's no creativity really. So I think avoid the reviews, book review, movie review, restaurant review. For those of you that want the formats, message me privately. I'll send it to you guys. I'm not going to send you guys because I don't recommend learners do this one. 2023 paper, right? So, the rhythm of city life. Could I have spoken about my career? Maybe if one of my careers is more focused on working in the countryside, for example, and another one is more focused in the city. But that one depends on which careers you obviously got in your essay. Abolishing plastic. Okay, that one there is completely out. We definitely can't use that one. Truth never dies. It may not come out, but it never dies. It may kill you, but it never dies. That's a quote, right? I think for some of you, there was a bit of a dark essay. I can't remember who I wrote it for, but there was a twist at the end where there was. It looked like you were looking out for your friend the whole time, and then you turn out to be the one who murders your friend. It's a twist in the story. For that one day, you could have eventually changed it and said, okay, I got caught at the end, and then the truth never dies. And then you speak about how you got caught out, right? So it's just manipulating your essay slightly. It was a loud and hearty laugh that broke through the awkward silence of the room. That one there, not really for the career one. If you have a narrative essay that one fits well, you could have manipulated something in there. In the rearview mirror, right? This one was good. You could have used this one. You would have seen that topic and you'd been like, right, I can use this one for my career one. Because you can end off your essay by saying, in the end, I ended up choosing this. When I look back in the rearview mirror, I think I made the right choice. And obviously there, that will show you that there you used your essay that I wrote for you guys, right? For the career guys. The transactionals this year, again, dialogue, formal letter, magazine article, speech, email. You can see there that everything we spoke about, those are the ones that I told you are typically going to come out. This one here was letter of complaint, right? That's why I said I think we're going to get application, because from the past 2 years, this one year, they had, this was 2022, they had letter to the press, and then here they had letter of complaint. So I would expect our next one to be letter of application, and that's one that you can prepare from home. So I recommend you guys go and prepare a letter of application. My stumbling blocks became my stepping stones. That one there works with the career one, because you could have said how the different experiences in your life eventually led you to choose this career for this reason, right? So it's just about slotting in one paragraph into the essay that I gave you guys and manipulating it to the topic. If I were not African, I wonder whether it would be clear to me that one there is more about identity, not really about the career one, right? There is no place for traditional values in modern society, not so much. The magic of a South African summer. For those of you that got any narrative essay, no matter what the narrative essay was, right? You could have just said that it took place in the summer and spoken about how that was a magical summer for you because you, and then just said that obviously the setting was South Africa, and that's the magical South African summer. In the same way people manipulate Afrikaans essays, I obviously have a lot of learners that message me for writing Afrikaans essays. And I was just explaining to those guys that with the Afrikaans essay, it's even easier than the English ones, but you can do it for English as well. Like you'll see here, there's so many different ways to interpret pictures. Oh, this is lagging out a bit. Let's reload it and check if it loads. There we go. Okay. Again, right? How are you going to interpret this picture? You could have again spoken about the rearview mirror. You can say that person is looking up at that mirror there at the top of the car. It's a rearview mirror, right? You could have said, as I drive down the road of life, I look back and I truly think that I did make the right choice. Right? And then here was something with technology. You could have spoken about how one career incorporated more technology than the other career. So it's easy to manipulate the topics, guys. If you're unsure of your topic and you don't have the career one, please message me. We'll go through a few papers and I'll show you guys how you typically manipulate it and give you guys some tips for your specific topic, right? The past still haunts them. That one they would have fitted well with those of you that got the narrative essays. Modern trends have replaced cultural beliefs. That one there, not so much. When we came to it, we the people have the power to fashion for Earth. A climate where every man and every woman can live freely without crippling fear. That one there, again, probably the narrative essay, not so much the career one. But impossible possibilities, that one there, you could have spoken about the career. You could have just started it off by saying the reason that you didn't want to become one of the career options was you thought you'd never achieve the marks to get that career. But in the end, you did, and then that was how the impossible became possible. Even this year, Sorry, these papers are just. I think I opened them a while ago. Some of them didn't load properly. But yeah. Again, yeah, you can speak about the reason you ended up making the choice you made is you didn't want to sit in front of an office desk the whole time, and you wanted to actually be, like you'll see here, you could use figuratively, they were plugged into the wall, you didn't want to be plugged into a certain lifestyle, and you wanted the career choice that gave you more flexibility. That's why I said, I recommended, whoever asked me which one do I think, I said they should take the career one, because it works in almost any case. I went through the past 15 years papers, and every one it worked. So you'll see this one not so much, this one not so much. These you could have probably spoken about something about narrative and incorporated birds there. Or this one here, you could have maybe said something about how it was a roadblock in life because you can see the trees growing through the train tracks. Or speak about how nature takes over civilization, something like that, right? Sorry, I think we forgot to go to the transactions for these years, right? Let's look. Again, formal speech, magazine article, email, dialogue, letter to the press. You guys can see every paper has one letter. Every paper has the dialogue. It's either going to be a dialogue or an interview. Every paper has an email. And every paper has the speech. The magazine article is hit or miss. It will be there, sometimes it won't be there. But these ones here, dialogue, letter, those ones are ones that you can pick up on. So if you can learn 5, if you go through these papers and you pick up on 5, the last one is usually a wildcard one. Like you see here, it was a report, the one it was a book review. That one's usually the wildcard one, but these other 5 are usually set in place. I can't remember if you tweeted one. Again, you see the informal letter, dialogue, speech, magazine article, and then there's the formal letter, and then the obituary was the wildcard in this one. So you know those 5. You can go prepare those 5. You know you set for this paper. Let's look at the 2019 topics. My inner landscape perfectly worked with the career one, right? You could have spoken about how it's your inner conflict and how your mind and why you had to make the choice you made. No bird soars too high if he soars with his own wings. You can speak about how you worked hard and you eventually got the career choices that you wanted, right? Again, you can use the career essay that I spoke about. Breaking the code of silence, not so much, but for example, the narrative essay, often there was something to do with a secret that was kept because, like I said, there was a twist. So you could have said eventually you had to come clean, and that's how you broke the code of silence. Some of you say joy is greater than sorrow, and others say nay, sorrow is the greater. But I say unto you, they are inseparable. Together they come, and when one sits alone with you at your board, remember that the other is asleep upon your bed. Right? That they long ask quote, right? But how are you going to use this one? Yeah, this one will probably be with a narrative essay again. You could maybe, and if you're going to use a quote, these ones obviously boost your word count. So this is not really for the A class, but this is more for when I'm looking at the other 2 classes. I'll tell them, use this and then manipulate around this so that you got more word counts added in, right? Stolen glimpses, you can speak about again the career one fits there. You can speak about the different the reason you chose the career you chose was you glimpsed into the future and you try to see how your life would be every day in the different careers. This one here of the picture. Let's just look at them. Yeah, not really anything here. This one you wrote about narrative. If there was a death in the story, you can speak about everything natural must die. There's a lot going on in this picture. The random horse there. But again, yeah, something about childhood, and you can see how your childhood influenced the career that you chose. So like I said, there's always some way that you can manipulate it into your topic. Again, left it to the editor. Book review, that would be the wildcard one, right? Interview, like I told you, dialogue of interview, magazine article, it's going to come out, you know that. And then there's your formal letter and there's your speech. Guys, those 5 are nailed. It's the 6th one that's the wildcard one. It's like this one here, obviously the one that they put was the book review. You can expect those 5, they're going to come out. Let's look at the last one. Marketplace secrets. Again, you could have spoken about careers and you could have spoken about how the marketplace refers to financials, right? You could have manipulated it and said that you needed to choose a certain career because it was more financially, it made more financial sense. What is life? It is the flash of a firefly in the night. It is the breath of a buffalo in the wintertime. You could have wrote this whole quote here and then spoke about how I decided I had to build my life around this because what gave me that flash into my life? It was this career choice. It was working, for example, let's say one of you had a career choice. I think someone had about a doctor or pharmacist. Guys, I wrote so many essays. I really can't remember but they could have said that the reason I had to choose the doctor path was because I needed that flash of fire in my life, the passion of helping other people. It's only impossible until it's done. Again, you could have spoken about how you never expected that you'd get into the career choice that you made, and then you ended up making it. Let's look at the pictures from this year. This one here, this one was a bit of a, I don't understand really. I don't think I would have used this picture for anything, right? This one here, you can say, as I look through the shades of life, I'm so happy with the career choice I made because I see a brighter future and I see a whole world around me through these glasses of my career field. So it's about interpreting stuff in a figurative way. In this paper, I wouldn't have used the pictures, like, even this picture, I don't know what's going on here. Is that someone in the moon? No, that one, I wouldn't do that. Let's look again. Speech, formal letter, obituary is the wild card in this one. Interview, magazine article, and letter to the press. Again, it's the 5 I spoke about. You know those ones are nailed. You know those ones are going to come out. Learn those 5, and then the obituary was the wild card here. And then, yeah, guys, I think that's everything for today's class. If any of you have specific questions on your essay, or you want to know how to manipulate your specific essay, message me. We'll sit together. I'll go through it with you. And yeah, I think everyone should be ready for paper 3. I'm expecting 90s from this class for paper 3. You guys need to be well prepared. You guys need to know what's coming out. You guys know what the 5 contextuals are now. You have your essay. You have your tips for your essays. So good luck with paper 3, guys. I think the focus now shifts for this next week or so on paper 2. I'm going to start. I have most of the slideshows done for the poetry. I just need to do the actual videos. There'll be between 7 and 10 minutes per poem. If you watch that video, I guarantee you'll be ready for the contextuals on those poems. And then my poetry essays, I sent out 7 already. Let's say by Friday, I'll have the next 5 sent out. So yeah, guys, thank you all for joining. I hope the class was productive. If there's any questions, if anyone has any questions, please message on the group or message me privately. If anyone needs help with something specific, again, you can message me privately. So yeah, thanks, guys.